Hey, this is Andrea from Campbell County Adult Education, and I'm going to show you how to schedule an OP GED test. The first thing you'll do is log into your GED account and click Schedule Test at the top. Then click Schedule Online Test on the left. Then select the subject that you want and click Find an Appointment. Select the language that you want to take your test in and click Next. Then select the section that you want to take. This is the page that goes over all of the online exam policies. You'll see a lot of information in here. I'd recommend reading all of it so that when you get to the test you aren't surprised by anything, any of the rules. A lot of the major ones are going to be making sure that you understand that when you select these, you are agreeing to the terms and conditions of GED.com and the cookies policy. This is an official test. This is just like taking an ACT or an SAT. It's an official state test. So all of the rules that apply in a testing center are generally going to apply at home too. They want to make sure that you are sitting in front of the computer that you'll be taking your test at. Make sure that you're in view of the camera at all times. The camera on your computer is going to be your test proctor, so that person will be watching you and listening to you take your test. So you want to make sure you're not talking during the test, you're not looking away from the screen, and that you're generally looking at the screen. They want to make sure you're not cheating. They want to make sure nobody else is in the room. When you take your test, you need to be in a closed room with the door that closes. You can't have any distractions. Nobody can come in the room while you're taking your test. If they do, they will suspend your test. So they will go ahead and just turn off your test. Your proctor will remind you of things if they notice that you're doing something that is not within the rules. But in general, I would just make sure you're ready to follow the rules. Makes it easier for you. They will have you take a picture of your ID. So just make sure your ID is not expired and that it is in the state that you are testing in. They are very particular about that. And they will have you take pictures of your face and the room as well. So be prepared with the phone to do that. Make sure your testing space is clear, that there's not a whole bunch of things on the desktop that you're using, and there's not a lot of things posted on the wall. They want to make sure that your desk is clear. This asks you not to share any GED test questions with anyone. Don't receive help on your test from another person, and do not copy the test questions. Make sure before test day that your computer, the one that you're taking the test on, is compatible with the GED OnView testing program. That requires completing a system test. I can show you in another video how to do a system test. Just ask the testing center for that. You want to make sure your computer is running at Windows 10 or higher. Generally, if you have a computer that's less than about 5 or 6 years old, you should be fine. You need a webcam, a microphone, and a speaker. If you have a laptop, generally a webcam is embedded in it. If you have a desktop, you might need an extra webcam. And make sure you only have one monitor. So if you have 2 monitors, you're going to have to unplug one of them for the system check to work. You can have a drink, gum, and other approved comfort aids. So if you have like a squeeze ball, you might be able to use that. Otherwise, everything else is prohibited. The only thing that you can bring with you is your phone. You'll be using that to take pictures, and then your proctor will tell you what to do with your phone during the test. Okay. On testing day, you want to make sure that your technology works. Make sure you restart your computer. And if you're using a laptop, make sure you plug in your laptop. Even if it's fully charged, the test takes a long time. It runs a big program, so it can really deplete your battery pretty quickly. And make sure if you are not hardwired in, like if your computer's not hardwired in to your internet, that your Wi-Fi is strong. So you don't want other people to be on gaming devices or be like streaming anything. You want to make sure that your Wi-Fi is really strong. Again, make sure the place that you're testing is clear, that you're alone, and that it's quiet. Make sure nobody can see your test, and make sure you're in a room with a closed door. They will check your ID, so again, make sure your ID is not expired, and you don't need a driver's license. You can have just an ID, like a photo ID is fine. And make sure you bring that with you because they require that for testing. If you need to reschedule your test, you can up to, I believe, 30 minutes before your test time, which is great. Click Agree to continue. You'll select the time zone that you're in. Now you're going to select the day and time for your test. The good thing is with online proctored testing, there are many days and times that are available, whereas in in-person testing, there are only certain days and times that centers are open, typically normal business hours for you to test. But these test proctors are all over the United States, so they're in different time zones, and so there's many different times and days that they're available to proctor the tests. So if you choose a test day that's pretty far out, let's say more than a week, then if you come down here and click See All Available Times, you'll see that every time slot, like 12 to 5, has 19 available times. The morning has tons of times, morning, afternoon, evening, and even late evening. So you'll see that the times go all the way to 11:15, and they go as early as 12 a.m. So you have a lot of time, a lot of options and availability for that. If you pick a time that is closer to the day that you are currently scheduling it, let's say tomorrow, if we look at tomorrow, you'll see that there are not a lot of times available in the morning. There's one time available in the evening tomorrow, and then in the late evening there's a few times. So you can choose any of these times if you want. You can sometimes even choose like the day of. If there's times available, you'll see that it's not dull. Today it looks like there's no appointments available, but what you can do is you can refresh the page, and sometimes if you refresh the page and you click on the day, like tomorrow, there's either more or less appointments available. See, so that appointment that was here before is no longer available, and there are just these times available. The good thing about this, though, is that tests are often canceled or people make appointments for tests, and this is all over the United States. So you'll see these testing times change a lot, which could be good in the case of you wanting to take a test tomorrow, and it's a random time comes up in the afternoon because someone canceled their test. So you can always come in here and refresh the page to see what appointments have come up. Once you're satisfied with the time, you just click Continue with this time. Oh, okay, so that is no longer available. All right, because it's the day, it's almost the day of or the next day, those appointments tend to go pretty quickly. So let's come in here and pick the 9:45, continue with this time. It looks like we got it. Okay, this is where then you would go to the very bottom, you would select Proceed to Checkout, and you would put in your voucher code. If you need a voucher code, you can reach out to your program that's nearest you, and they can get you a voucher code. Otherwise, this is where you would just pay for your test. If you're a part of our program, you can just use the voucher code that we provide, and that is how you schedule an OP test.